Hello and welcome to the Calmcast, a time to feel calm and think clearly. I'm Claire Downham, the Queen of Calm, a transformational life coach. I was a burnt out head teacher who finally made the journey to calm after years of trying, and I want to prevent you from having to do the same. The Calmcast is a series of short explorations, gently guiding you back to your natural state, which is calm and clarity. Just listen like you would listen to music, with an open mind and curiosity. There's nothing else to do. Now let's relax into today's episode. So today I'm going to talk about the Calm Gazelle, which might sound quite like a funny subject, but a long time, well, not that long ago, but a while ago, I used to do a workshop called Stress to Success Habits. And I used to share this particular concept during those talks, but I now see it on a really different level. So I would show a video of a gazelle escaping from a lion. So at the start of the video, there's some people in a jeep and they can see the gazelle and they see the lion coming and they kind of go, oh no, the gazelle's going to get eaten. But the gazelle's gone. The gazelle's on form that particular day and escapes. And you've actually no idea how long it took me to find a video where the gazelle gets away. Most of them, the gazelle does not end well. The gazelle ends up as dinner. And when I share that video, I share it with to share an understanding of what stress and anxiety actually do to your body, because when that gazelle becomes aware that there is a lion in its presence, the gazelle's body reacts to that. Like the gazelle there's no thinking going on there. The gazelle its body becomes aware of a predator and the body reacts to that. So the gazelle's bloodstream fills with cortisol and adrenaline, and sugar, glucose goes into the bloodstream of the gazelle. So the gazelle's muscles and body becomes stronger and faster, and the gazelle gets away. Well, sometimes not stronger and faster enough. But in the particular video that I shared, the gazelle did get away. Now, within 15 minutes of that happening, the gazelle is on the savannah, eating the grass or whatever else gazelles happen to eat, super chilled and really not bothered at all about anything. The gazelle is not on the savannah doing this. Oh my God. What if I'd been eaten? Who would have looked after my children? What would have happened? Oh my God, what about if I get eaten next time the lion comes? What am I going to do about that? What do I need to plan in advance to make sure that I get away from the lion next time? Etc., etc. I'm sure as I'm sharing all that thinking that the gazelle doesn't have, you can understand that. You can understand having those kinds of thoughts. Those thoughts that are nothing to do with the present moment. Because the gazelle in the present moment is stood on the savannah eating the grass. Now, human beings aren't as good at doing that as being in the present. And fundamentally, that's why we experience stress and anxiety. But when we can start to see that that's where it's coming from, it makes less and less sense. It makes less and less sense to pump our bodies full of adrenaline when we realize that the cause of that is our thinking. Because that's the difference. A gazelle is a mammal like us. Its actual physiology is extremely similar to ours. Works in a very similar way. They make babies like us. They sweat like us. They're creatures that are very, very similar to us. The difference between us and mammals and all other creatures is that they don't think and we do. And we're so amazing and so intellectual, actually, that we don't realize most of the time that we are misusing the power of thought, that we are actually creating those unpleasant feelings in our bodies. Now, I am never advocating you trying to change your thinking. But once you know you're doing that, it makes less and less sense to do it. It just doesn't make sense to keep doing that to yourself. But that comes from knowing that you're doing it. Because the misunderstanding is that something outside of us is doing that. Did the lion go up to the gazelle with a syringe of adrenaline and inject it into the gazelle? No, the gazelle's whole system became aware of the lion, and those things happened automatically. The thing is, we can do that with our thinking. We can take ourselves into that really stressful place just by thinking about things. We can make ourselves anxious to the point of it being debilitating just by thinking about things. It's like there's a switch inside us that responds to our thinking. Well, it is that really. We think unpleasant things, we think scary things, we think a lot of things, and we feel that in our bodies. That's what causes the release of all those chemicals. And in the human being, because we are worrying at home in our own safe houses, and therefore there is nowhere for that adrenaline to go, that's why we feel that. That's why it feels awful. Because those chemicals are kind of trapped in our bodies. And I understand that's why some people who are struggling with stress and anxiety run. They run off to run off the adrenaline and cortisol that's caught up in the system, because it doesn't feel nice when it's trapped in there. It feels off. We feel that offness. But most of the time, we think that's telling us to do something in the outside world, like go running, rather than realizing that you have a beautiful psychological immune system which will allow your thinking to pass if you let it. And all that's really needed, and I'm not sure about that word, but all that really helps there, for me anyway, is a pause. Some kind of pause. But my knowing to pause comes from knowing that it's the thinking that's creating the issue. The thinking is creating the feeling. And what happens over time as you see this more and more is that you start to notice the types of thinking that you have, because we're mostly thinking the same thoughts that we thought yesterday. So we're probably mostly creating the uncomfortable feelings with the same thoughts as yesterday, or some of a very similar ilk. We've been doing it for years probably, and we're still doing it. But once we start to know, really know, oh, it's thinking that's creating that horrible feeling, we start to spot the type of thoughts. You know, for me, it's ranting. I notice other people's behaviour where they are not doing it Claire's way, because did you know Claire's way is the right way? I clearly don't really believe that. Well, I believe it less and less, let's just say that. You know, we had a conversation. In fact, I had a conversation this morning, which I'll just quickly share with you, where I started to go there. And luckily, my fiance kind of guided me back. But it was, we have a motorhome, we bought it from somebody else, and it came with coat hangers in the wardrobe. And I said, why would you have coat hangers in a wardrobe in a motorhome? Because you're going to take your clothes from in the house where they're on coat hangers, and surely you're not going to take them all off the coat hangers in the house and transfer them onto the coat hangers in the motorhome and then do all the same thing back again the other way when you come home. That doesn't make sense. And we're gradually getting rid of these horrible plastic coat hangers, because we do move our clothes on the coat hangers in the house into the motorhome. And I started to go, well, that's just ridiculous. Why would somebody do that? Why would somebody move their clothes on a coat hanger, onto a different coat hanger to take them off? And then I spotted myself doing it, and that's why I'm laughing about it now, because who knows? Maybe there are some people who think that's a good idea. And that's perfect. They're perfect. There are 7.45, I don't know how many billions of people there are on the planet, and they are all going to think differently. We'll have some alignment and some similarities, but most of the time, we think differently to other people. And when we spot it, we kind of can, I don't know, not pull it back in, almost just let it go. Just, I notice them now. I notice my ranting starting, and I kind of go, oh, that's going to feel horrible. I'm not going to do that then. Not going to beat myself up with my thinking. Doesn't make sense anymore. And the deeper you get into this conversation, the more that happens. I guess I would say what happens is less things bother you. And when I say that to people now, something seems to settle. We don't have to live a life where lots of things are bothering us. Because the bothersome feeling comes from us, not those things outside us. We are hurting ourselves as a human race, and I am seeing this everywhere now. So if it makes sense, talk to somebody like me, and you can start to see this, and it can completely and utterly change your life. Unbelievably, on the inside anyway. Much love, everyone. Take care. Thank you so much for listening. There's nothing to do now but bring some awareness to how this is working out in your life. Listen regularly to experience longer and longer periods of calm. This has been the Calmcast with Claire Downham, Queen of Calm. Take care and keep listening.